Hey, happy Friday, everyone. Just wanted to end the week on a happy note. I have a video game market report for you all for the week of May 31st, 2024. Shout outs to everyone that supports the channel. We'll keep doing these market reports for video games and comic books and our Sunday live show as long as you have interest in it. And if you haven't yet, please click that like button, subscribe, tell all your friends as we're trying to hit that 700 subscriber mark. And yeah, kind of a fascinating market report as always. I kind of dove a little deeper and tried to broad range kind of my selection of quote unquote vintage. I don't even know what you consider vintage video games anymore or at all. I think one day it'll be nice to see like a timeline as far as video games are concerned, and maybe go through the history of video games and see what's collectible out there and what's not so much collectible. But yeah, so some of these games are from systems that didn't make it very long. For example, there was back in the mid 90s, there was this conversion from cartridges to CDs, and a lot of games. I think a lot of companies were kind of trying to decide, should we go into the CD market? How much money is that going to cost? Like, how many licenses do we have to certain products? And ultimately, those decisions killed some systems. There's one in particular in this presentation today that kind of, kind of rain memories for me in regards to, oh gosh, remember that system? I didn't ever have it, but I did have the system afterwards, and that kind of is the reason why I think that was the failure of the system that I'm going to talk about later in the slides today. But yeah, again, just another, that as I kind of go through these market reports for video games or what have you, it's it's really fascinating to see like what comes up. The tough thing, honestly, is to see what's going to hold value or kind of push values of these materials or sorry materials, physical media, because I think the more knowledge you put out there, the more people are going to know about these games or the value of these games. However, what's going to keep interest in it, I really don't know. It's a kind of a tough question to answer. I do know that if there's recognizability to a video game, so popularity wise, right, you probably want to get a collector's edition of that game, whether it be from a current one or from a past one. I've seen a lot of games that had like a collectible version of it are holding pretty good value. So like your Zeldas, your Marios, your Fortnite's a big one. We're going to talk about that actually on the first slide. So yeah, just to keep that in mind if you are actually investing in video games versus just collecting them, or if you have an eye out for something that you want to hold on to and have that physical kind of relationship with, just know that in general as well. But again, I just want to thank everyone for your support the past few months. We're growing pretty quickly, and I'm trying to do as much as I can to grow the channel and all that. But yeah, again, click that like button. It helps with the algorithm. And without further ado, let's get into the presentation. Okay, let's see here. All right. Okay, and definitely this isn't like a buy on the, buy this and like, grade it and all that. But just kind of if you're in the market for this or you haven't thought of certain things, I hope this video helps you out kind of with your search. But without further ado, oh, hold on one second. I gotta do this real quick. All right, let's present this. A little refresher here. All right. So first off, PS4 Fortnite, specifically the Fortnite or the PS4 version of Fortnite. I wanted to get into this one because this is one I definitely think is um, a long-term investment, whether it's CIB, whether it's Xbox, whether it's Switch. I think that the consoles are really good to go after. It's really expensive though, and mostly because the print run for Fortnite was very small. So you're seeing CIBs, and like when I talk CIB, you have to have the coupon that has the code on it. Um, you want the complete set. You don't just want the CD, you just don't want the cartridge. But 90 to 140 bucks for a CIB is what the going rate is for that. And the the condition is really kind of like out there. I feel like if you just want a piece of this market for Fortnite, the PS4 version's a good one to go with. Make sure that the corners on those cartridges are in pretty good condition. I have one that I didn't really look at it very well, but there's water stains on the back, like very slight. It's going to affect the grade, but however, I still think it's worthy of grading it to just certify that the value is there for that particular media. Sealed ones, I think, is a really good deal. They're 500 plus. I saw one going for 800, and I thought that was pretty high. However, I saw a PS4 9.6 go for $1,000, which really feel is like a long-term good investment. I'm not really in the market for this particular game in a sealed version. Just don't have the money to invest in it right now. But man, I'm not mad at that $1,000 value in arguably a game that came out 2017. It's almost 10 years old and it's still growing users, and the world of Fortnite's growing even faster. So the fact that there's only like 40,000 copies of this, and I'm not sure if that's just PS4 or Xbox included, but I mean, that's a very finite number of whether they're opened or sealed games. And particularly the reason why there's not that many out there, obviously, you didn't have to buy the game to have this to play it. You could just download it on your Xbox, your PS4, and or PC and go at it. I feel like this game's just going to continue to increase in value, and I think it's just going to increase in popularity just because generations keep playing this game. So, I mean, literally, my nephew, I've never played this game before in my life, but my nephew plays it and he's like 10 and he plays it with his dad. So, there you go. It hits all age ranges. It's definitely a very popular platform by Epic Games. So, PS4 Fortnite, spend $100 on it, maybe make 500. Who knows? All right. Next one, kind of in the beginning of the introduction there, I was talking about systems that failed for whatever reason, and the Sega 32X was a beast. I remember it came out and it was like this huge platform you put on top of your Sega Genesis, and you had particular games that resonated at 32x resolution or a bit, sorry. And I don't know, man, the marketing was really good on the system itself. It pitched, better graphics, obviously, and at that time, like 32x, like versus 16-bit, that's crazy. I don't really remember anyone having this system though, and I don't know if it was out for like more than a year or two. It seemed like it wasn't out for that long, but what happened was Sega pivoted. They were like, this isn't working. We're going to lose market share to Sony, I'm assuming. And they came out with Sega Saturn like a year later or a couple years later. And that was actually the first CD console system that I ever bought because I liked the Sega games itself. I just wasn't a Sega Genesis guy. And ultimately, I mean, if you're a kid and you're going to spend 32x on an accessory versus a brand new system for like maybe an extra $50, and it was a CD, which was like really like just CDs were taking off like crazy back in the mid 90s, obviously, you're most likely going to go after Sega Saturn. And, everything was new on it. Whereas the 32X was just kind of like I said, an accessory for Sega Genesis. I heard stories that was kind of flimsy. The games didn't really play that well. But this game in particular, Sega 32X Pitfall, is kind of the grail as far as I can see so far of 32X. And I remember this game was like on Super Nintendo. It's basically like your adventure type game where you try and avoid pits and all that. Pitfall, obviously. 199 bucks for the game itself, just the game alone. I was actually in a video game store here locally, and this is what kind of brought it to my attention. I saw it was a loose game, and I was like, "Holy cow! They're asking 200 bucks for that!" And it was the one game out of the very little amount of 32x games that they had that was priced so high. The other thing too is there was no boxes along with this 32x Sega game. None of the games at the store had boxes. It was just the game itself. So I gotta imagine it's really hard to find a full CIB, guide box game all together. You may have to buy them individually or maybe just grade the game itself. However, 750 bucks for a graded game, not sealed. So CIB for a graded game, I think the rating was 8.0. So I feel like this is one of those games that's gonna, I don't know if it's gonna hold the test of time. It just might be one of those like, for comic book collectors, like, oh, this is like one of the games like back in the day that's just really rare from a failed system. And it's kind of nostalgic in that way. However, I don't know if newer like collectors are going to be really keen on wanting to get Sega 32X games. With that said, $750 for a graded game, not sealed, and just this cover just takes you back to back in the day, but it's pretty cool. Next one, a little more modern. Like I was kind of saying earlier, like the market that I feel is like pretty safe is those collector's editions of high produced games. I like this just as a I don't know, it'd be cool to display itself. It's a pretty big box, so I think you have to go VGA on this one, not CGC. But it's Zelda the Skyward Sword, the gold version. We not Wii U, but just the regular Wii. It's a gold controller that you could play. So it's obviously a collector's edition. I couldn't find any really good sealed sales of this game, but people are asking like $200 for it, which I don't know what the original retail of these. I should do a better job of that, like going forward. But um I feel like this is gonna start to get a little bit of its flowers. I don't know, we'll see. But I definitely think this has potential, like they're down the road. A lot of kids that are in their teens, Wii was like their first system they ever played. If it's Nintendo, it's not Switch, it's not DS. Yeah, not really. I think they're a little too young for that. But I remember like Wii kind of held the test of time for a very long time, especially with families. So the Wii could potentially be like the first system for a lot of kids that they may gravitate towards if they are video game collectors. And Zelda's a Skyward Sword. I remember this being like the big game for Zelda wise for the Wii. And then obviously Switch. BOTW is like the big one, obviously. So I don't know. I wouldn't pay like top dollar for this. I'd try and find a sealed version for maybe like 100 to $120. Maybe you can find one in pretty good condition. Because it's a Wii game, I prefer the sealed version, but CIB I'm not mad at either. It's not particularly rare. However, sealed versions seem to be pretty rare, and the market hasn't really met supply and demand or price point, I guess you could say. So, yeah, Zelda Skyward Sword, the gold version. This one was I was never an Xbox guy, but I do appreciate the market for Xbox, and I'm trying to understand like what games were really like wanted from the Xbox. This one's an Xbox 360 game. It's not an OG Xbox game. I'll try and get into those later, but we'll see. It's a limited collector's edition. The last sale I saw for this was $399. No graded sales though, so I can't tell you whether to like go get a sealed version, grade it at like whatever grade you get, and then try and flip it. It's a tough one because I feel like $400, especially for a collector's edition, that's a lot of money. But the last sales, and there's quite a few for this big of a game, it's gone for around $400 average, and it's sealed, right? There's a comic book that goes along with this too. So if you're thinking of like pairing or like going over mass or other medias, that's a good thing for. It's a good indicator for okay, like there's probably some popularity with this, and it can go across collectors. That's always good. Star Wars is a perfect example of that as well. But I don't know what the numbers were for this. It's a pretty big box, so I think you have to send it to VGA as well. So it might be a little bit more expensive to grade. CGC is usually like I think it's like $30 per game essentially, but this might be like I don't know $100 to grade this. So again, if you're trying to flip this and not so much collect it, you're gonna probably have to put a lot of money into it. And it's kind of buyer beware at this point. But I mean, $399. That's strong. It's to say that people like this game and they like this particular version. So again, I'm not really mad at it. But before I go on to the next slide, I just again want to say thanks everyone for watching the show. If you're catching this while you're at work, while you're your day off or through the weekend, I appreciate you watching me, giving me the time to go over some things. But if you could hit that like button, subscribe, tell all your friends about these. We'll keep doing these. It's really important for the algorithm and helps us determine what shows we're going to continue doing. I may drop a couple of shows. We'll see. But yeah, I just enjoy doing these, kind of offline and not so much we can just post it at any time. But yeah, I appreciate your guys' support. This one's a pretty cool one. This heart, I remember seeing this in the video game stores like not even like Toys R Us though. It was like feel like it was like EB Games or something like that. Dragon Ball GT on the OG PlayStation. I could not find any sealed games of this. This came out back in 1997, so kind of the height of that Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, kind of like 2D. I think Virtua Fighter came out a couple years before this, but the whole like coming to the side like that, that peripheral view of Street Fighter type games was still really popular. And then especially, I mean, like Dragon Ball was just getting started over here in the States. I remember I didn't really watch Dragon Ball until like probably in the late 90s, but I know kids older than me were like watching anime, and Dragon Ball was one they always like suggested to watch because it was just so ridiculous. But this is definitely like again one of those cross, media type of collectibles. So there's less risk with this. However, seems like this is a pretty rare game. I wish I had time to kind of look into why this is a rare game, but again, 150 for a CIB. I saw a really beat up copy go for like $90, which is about the same price as a Fortnite in pretty, near mid grade. Um, so this is definitely like a collector who probably loves PlayStation video games and Dragon Ball. They don't care what the condition is. They just want it. Um, I like how the art's like really cool on the front. I like how the PlayStation pops on the front too. I kind of miss that about the newer PlayStation games. How the font of PlayStation doesn't really jive with the front of the covers anymore. But this is really clean, I think. And I mean, it's Goku on the front. GT was kind of like um that kind of think the glory years of Dragon Ball as well. So you have that going for you. I don't know if people are buying this to actually play the game, but it seems to me that people really like this game and it's hard to find. So if you find one in the wild and you can kind of take a look at it and maybe see, oh, this is like a pretty like okay, like an 8.0 version. I wouldn't mind paying $150 for it, honestly, and trying to sling it off to CGC and see if you can get like an 8.0 or 8.5. I couldn't find any graded sales of this game, possibly because like I still feel like the video game grading market, especially with CGC, is really low. It hasn't reached anywhere close to maturity. So it's a very new market along with magazines, I think. So we'll see. But yeah, Dragon Ball Z GT, the 1997 PlayStation 1 version. Kind of a newer one. I was kind of disappointed with this, to be honest. Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, the collector's edition. I remember this came out originally. It was like retailing for like 130. I ended up buying one for $100, and it's dipped quite a bit. I want to say that there are just a lot of printings of this versus the original Zelda. I'm going to keep mine. I'm not going to get rid of it. It's a beast to grade too, so I don't know if I'll grade it anytime soon. You can get this for around 89 to $110 depending on the day. I feel like people are just maybe people bought like a slew of these and they're just trying to offload them. But it comes with a bunch of stuff. Obviously, I haven't opened mine, so I can't tell you what's in it. But I I don't know. I wonder what the community says. Like, I don't know if anyone in the comments can tell me, like, did Zelda Tears of the Kingdom really like pop off like Breath of the Wild, or is it like I heard it was a little bit harder to play than the first one? Like you die a lot more often in this version, but I don't know, community. If you guys know, just let me know because I haven't played this game yet, and I don't know if I will. But VGA grading and the cost for this is quite high as well. So if you get a version, like I hope you get a clean version. I don't think mine's in a condition I want to grade it in. So I'm kind of torn. I don't think I'll try and personally try and flip one later on, but who knows? I mean, this is until the next Zelda comes out, this is the one. This is the newest one. They're reprinting like other ones. I mean, I guess you could go back to Breath of the Wild and like go that route, but I mean, this is the OG one. So, Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, the Collector's Edition, get on discount if you want to. I wouldn't pay more than like $89 for this before shipping. So, Devil May Cry. This is the PlayStation 2. It's the first. There's a couple of versions of this game or sequels and whatnot, but I think it's a perfect cover. This was kind of the game I feel that spawned off that because people always reference, oh, it's a Devil May Cry style fighting. So basically, you just like hit your button a million times and you have different weapons and hopefully you kill the whatever you're fighting. But this is a really expensive sealed game from PlayStation 2. It's pretty tough and high grade because it is kind of older. I saw 98 go for 350. There's option news with this, which pumped up the comic book market, but I'm not really sure if it popped up the video game market a ton. I had a sealed version of number two and it only graded a 9.2, and that didn't sell very well. I probably should have held on to it, but I was just curious what the market was saying about the video game itself. If you're gonna get this game, like try and get it sealed because I think the market wants a sealed version of this PlayStation 2 game, particularly. I don't think it's very rare. It was a pretty popular game back in the day, so that's probably why it's not. You don't really see CIBs going for a high price. Again, like I don't have the only news I have on this really is that it's optioned and it's still, I don't know when that's come to fruition, but is what it is. We'll see in the coming months or years, who knows. But yeah, Devil May Cry, the first one sealed for 90 bucks. 99 bucks, sorry. And I got one more after this. So yeah, this is a kind of a funny list. I remember going through this list and just thinking, like, man, there's some random ass stuff in here. I hope people don't hate this stuff. But real quick, one more time. Oh, that makes things a lot easier. I use that just to get a little coffee break. But yeah, hit that like button for me, guys. I really appreciate it. The GI Joe NES version. This is a grail. This is definitely a grail. This and these particular GI Joes are the ones I collected when I was a kid. Captain Gridiron forever will be my favorite GI Joe ever. I If I had extra money, I would buy a sealed, graded, or just sealed Captain Gridiron and hold on to it. He was my favorite dude. I mean, the dude that throws footballs as grenades, you kidding me? And that helmet is just amazing. But anyway, I remember playing this game. It was so much fun because you got to play as all the different GI Joes. Snake Eyes was always like a popular one of like a people, right? But I just thought this was like a fun game to play. It wasn't too hard either. It was it was just really fun to play. No one's selling this game. There's a high sale for 750 bucks. That is insane. I don't know if that's going to hold value, but I mean, I was like, it made me want to buy it, you know. I don't have that much money to just kind of like splurge on a game though, but yeah, I think that's pretty cool. I should do my research and see if this is the first GI Joe video game ever. But yeah, I definitely remember playing this, and it was so much fun. I played on Nintendo. The white cover of this game, it's very like nostalgic to me as well. So there you go. But yeah, GI Joe, the Real American Hero. I was shocked to see sales for 750 bucks for this game, and it wasn't sealed. It was CIB. So I can't imagine a sealed version of this game. Oh, that'd be so cool if someone had it. But yeah, it'd be cool to grade this too. I definitely would. This would be like a keeper, like Grail game for me, and along with the Gen X and millennials that probably like this game as well. And last but not least, I thought this was really cool. I was doing some searches just for consoles, and this sold like about a couple months ago. I thought it was in May, but it did sell a couple months ago. So this is the PS4 Pro limited edition Spider-Man. This was not sold. It was very exclusive. What I mean that was not sold, it wasn't sold to the public. You had to, I think it was, I think it was offered to like certain people that were like Spider-Man collectors. Sold for 20,000 back in March. Um, I didn't reach out to the seller to confirm if the sale was made, but like for what it's worth, I don't do that really. But I just go off eBay and just it is what it is. This came with the controller. It came with obviously it came with a branded Spider-Man console. What's really cool about it though is you see those comic books. Yeah, it came with those too. I feel like that's exclusive to. Okay, so the comic books that are included in this set, they have to do with the game. So like any of the characters in the game are also in this. I thought it was pretty cool. Kind of a cool little add-on to, you know, a PS4, or sorry, to a PS4 video game that some people consider like one of the greatest of all time. Yeah, I mean, it's a really fun, sale. I thought this is definitely like this guy, whoever bought this is really rich and probably loves Spider-Man and video games and knew this is really exclusive. This is one of those like, I think as we kind of research this new hobby, this is going to be like the UF4, um what do you call it? Like 1 in 50, 1 in 25 variant that like there's a million out there, but this is legitimately like this is rare. Um what's interesting to me is like whoever bought this, are they going to keep it sealed? Are they just going to keep it open? I don't know. I feel like opening this but not opening the contents inside is kind of the way to go. But I feel like this needs to be played. Um, but yeah, I just kind of wanted to end the show with kind of something really fun I found and engaged in watching and just like looking at and researching. But that's the show for today. I do appreciate everyone giving us a follow, checking out the new show. I'll try and do these later in the week, every week. And you all have a great weekend. Click that like button. Tell people about the show. Trying to get more people to see these market reports. I think it's important to show people there's potential in video games and what the actual market is for it too as well. So hope you guys enjoyed. Have a great weekend. Take care.